Welcome back to the return of Super League. We got Modern Super League Season 1 coming into our final match to determine who is going to be in the winner's bracket and the loser's bracket. The tiebreaker match, remember, 2 wins and you're good to go. As you see by the trophy here, I have my 2 wins, thankfully. Very, very fortunate there. And we're going to see who's going to join me. Is it going to be a Mason or Dingo? Javier, what do you think of the matchup here? We got creativity versus scam. Who's ahead and what do you think is going to be the result?
Well, I think creativity is probably a little bit ahead. Like before, when back in the old days, when Blood Moon used to be a staple in the scam deck's main deck, things were a little bit different. But now with less Blood Moons, I think I will say creativity is a little bit favored.
Cool. Yeah. Dingo didn't sound very confident, honestly, as we did our little our post exit there, saying that Mason had actually chosen his deck, targeting him directly. So a little bit of metagaming here in Super League. Plan on seeing a lot of that in the future round. Should be very, very exciting every Wednesday. And yeah, I mean, how did you feel about your matchup with the Hammer versus the creativity? It seems kind of tough given their rule spells they have as well as the combo finish.
Yeah, I think creativity was like a little bit ahead of Hammer. Honestly, like I didn't like my deck choice when I saw your decks. Like Jam off creativity and scam. I think scam was the only matchup that was fine, and I lost to it 2-0 easily. So yeah, it was not a great metagame choice. I will see now.
So why not Tron? Obviously, you just top 8 of the Pro Tour playing Tron. Your team crushed the event with Tron. I mean, is it a little more fun playing Hammer? What's the deal there?
Yeah, well, for starters, I expected some of the players to play some Tron targeted hate cards. I don't know if you played the Break the Ice card before, but it's
I
there
did
for
not. No,
Tron
those
only.
are for you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I expected this to happen, so I was like, I'm gonna sidestep that. So I was between like Rhinos and Hammer, honestly, and yeah, because of that hate, like I wanted a deck that was good against the cards that were good against Tron, but I should play Rhinos.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny though, because at Pro Tour Lord of the Rings, when the deck breakdown came out with all the results, Hammer actually did really, really well. There weren't many players playing Hammer in the Pro Tour, but the ones that did have a pretty high win percent, like in the 55-60% range, which is pretty impressive. So, kind of the thing where everyone's not really paying attention to it. It's kind of good. So, yeah, fun to see the metagaming here on week 1 and looking forward to seeing more of that in the future. Are there any players you're looking forward to trying to play against? Obviously, you're in the bottom bracket, but you are not dead yet. You're going to have a lower bracket to battle through and still have a chance to make top 8. Any player you're scared to play against, or any player you're looking forward to playing against? Got a few WotC employees in here also.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to play some of my friends, but that will actually mean they will have lost. So not really, I want to have some rematches against Nathan. So we'll see, because I've been joking a lot. Also they put this fight of the year in the race, so we joke a lot. I'm like, I'm gonna catch you or not. So that could be cool.
That'd be a good matchup. Obviously, you guys have both been crushing literally all year, and looking forward to Worlds soon. Of course, obviously Nathan defending champion. You've had a killer year as well. So cool to see those rivalries kind of crossing over here in Super League as well as on the Pro Tour. So I think we're getting our matchup all set up. We got Dingo, we got Mason, we got the last round of Super League Season 1, the tiebreaker match coming up right now. All right, so you got Mason on the bottom, of course, playing 5-color creativity. We got Dingo on the top playing his beloved scam deck. And looking at the opening hands here, a couple Rens for Mason, and it looks like a mulligan for Dingo. What do you think the important parts are going to be in the early turns of these games here?
Well, I mean, obviously the scam deck is known as Evoke or Scam because how important it is to scam or evoke turn 1 grief, and here we go. So that's probably I think there are 2 types of games: the games where Jingo can get a creature in turn 1, or the games where he cannot. This is one of the games where he can. But this point, he has to protect the grief and try to run away with the game. And I think that's what's going to happen, right? Like, he's going to leave Mason with only 2 random 6s, and now Mason was leaving off the top of his deck to deal with this.
Yeah, and a follow-up too. What happens is often with scam will be they'll have the good scam draw and they just like not have a second land or not have a good follow-up because they kept the hand based on the scam. What we see here, second land, Voidwalkers, Bowmasters, and kind of just a lonely pair of run and 6 for Mason.
Yeah, that is a very good hand. Like, I mean, that this is a strong. Well, but even if this is strong, if Mason manages to draw creativity, he will probably get there, I will say. but it's gonna be one turn max.
Yeah, it is cool that the Dwarven Mine half of the creativity combo is obviously a land. It can't be Thoughtseize or anything like that. So as you see fairly often with these scam decks, you can't Thoughtseize the top of the deck. So Mason's going to be doing a little knock and hoping to get there because this is a very fast clock. It's 7 power in play with a Voidwalker and another Bowmaster. Not a lot of time for Mason to pull something out here.
Yeah, actually, the Bowmaster means that even creativity at the top from Mason will actually not be enough. Like, I think this game is just as over as it can be because he's have enough damage, right? He's for maybe actually not. No, because now he's killing the Bothwalker, and Mason now has to play the creature to have lethal in 2 turns. Let's see, maybe he doesn't.
So 9 life for Mason. Bowmaster comes down, pings to 8, and we also see, or he pings the creature. Let me see, 5, 6 damage on the board. So
Well,
yeah,
see,
not quite there yet.
Yeah, but there's one thing could have, like, Dingo could have elected to not play the Bowmasters and attack Mason to 5 and hold the Bowmasters. This way, if Mason top decks creativity, he doesn't get to combo, and Grief still meant that the clock is lethal anyway. So that's an option he could have had. I guess this is lethal anyway against Arcan, isn't it? No, it's not actually.
Yeah. Up to 6, sacrificing one of the smaller creatures.
It
It's
is
close.
Not. This will be not. It will be good enough to creativity here, I think. Go to 6.
But there is no creativity.
No, there is not. Yeah.
A lone Shadow Prophecy in hand, which is not looking too good. Not even castable, let alone not a card that would want to be cast here. And it looks like, okay. We see 2 lands drawn off of the loot on the Fable, looking for perhaps to terminate or Rule Spell to close the game out. And now we still see lethal, though, right, with the Menace creature and the 2 creatures. So maybe we have an attack here, and we're good to go.
Yeah, good to go to game 2. Creativity often has this one turn window where if you draw creativity this turn, the game wins. The game's over. Like that's something actually that keeps the deck alive in a lot of situations.
So we're going to go into sideboarding here. We see, as you mentioned, the Blood Moons now coming in out of the sideboard, not in the main anymore, but ready to rock and roll a sideboard. We see a Needle and a few other tools coming in for Scam. For creativity side, looks like the Teferis are popping out. A couple Veil of Summers, powerful card in the matchup, obviously, to stop the scamming and rule spells. What do you think these what's going to change in the post-board games, like the texture-wise, as far as the whole game goes?
Well, I think the game is going to be radically different because Scam game 1 has to be the aggressor, like we saw now. But game 2 and 3, Blood Moon make it so like sometimes the game is just over when the Blood Moon resolves. Like even though Mason also has planes and Celestial Purge, still cannot be enough. Like you need to be able to fetch the planes. So I think Scam has a lot of different ways to actually find keeps or strong hands that the creativity deck doesn't. So I think the matchup is better for Dingo after sideboard.
So Scam gets to take a little more of a prison aspect than that. You kind of just get to play the Blood Moon in play, protect it, and then win the game at their leisure.
Yeah, exactly. But the beauty of this is like it's a prison deck, but also still has this like, oh my god, turn 1 like Scam hands. So it's like both things at the same time. Like it can prison or it can beat down, and that's why I think like game 2 and 3 is better, but still creativity sets are gonna be good enough to beat those anyway. And this Celestial Purchase that Mason said were put against YungDingo specifically, I mean they're good. They just deal with any Blood Moon or any Grief Elemental you can throw. Those are very good cards in the matchup.
Yes, we see 2 things here. We see a pretty fair hand from Dingo. No scamming here at all. Looks almost like a Rakdos mid-range deck. Bowmaster, Stable, Blood Moon, Needle. No real immediate pressure aside from 1 Thoughtseize. And then we do see, very, very important for Mason, the fetch land that gets the planes. Now, there's 1 basic planes in Mason's deck list for this exact reason for Blood Moon. Basic planes allows Mason to cast the Leyline Bindings and the Celestial Purges as well to break up the Blood Moon. And, of course, the Purge is there as well. So buckle up. This is going to be a much longer game than the first game was.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, we're now in the creativity range where if Dingo just taps out for the Blood Moon, which I think he probably will, he's very weak against Purge into creativity. But I don't think we're going to see, like, the thing is, playing Scam against creativity, you have to play Blood Moon on 3 because otherwise they get the Dormant Bind tokens. So this is not the Blood Moon you can slow roll against, you did like against like Balakut deck or whatever. Here, they kind of have to play it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Dingo does know about the Archon and the Purge in hand, I believe. So going to go for the Fable here over the Blood Moon, although the creativity, of course, is the unknown card for Dingo. And, of course, Mason's all rolled up now with the Dwarven Mine and the creativity. So Got at least one Archon to battle through here.
Yeah, one Archon is already like a lot. I mean, obviously we know Dingo's hand, so we know like they're kind of cold to Archon, but like it's often not very easy to undo the work an Archon does.
Now, the interesting thing here is that we were testing the planes earlier. If Mason wants to get the planes, that does turn off the Dwarven Mine and therefore turn off creativity also. So going to fetch a Triome here. Now has the turn for creativity, but no planes or white yet. So if the Archon's able to be answered and the Blood Moon's able to come down, say it terminates off the top, terminate the Archon, play the Blood Moon, and now Mason's locked out until he can find a white source of some kind.
Yeah, you have a very good point, and that's what I thought Mason will actually just fetch for Second Foundry to purge the Fable. I thought that would be a reasonable play because, like, now Fable gives Dingo 2 more draws to actually get there, which is very dangerous for him because he's dead to a lot of stuff anyway.
There it is.
Here we go. Yeah, that's rough.
Well, actually, found the Terminate, but did not find the land. So with the treasure from the Goblin token will be 1 mana short of casting Blood Moon here for the full lockout, but still obviously a very good draw.
Yeah, still very good for the very good turn for Dingo. And we'll see if
so we get a Ren as the draw for Mason. So pretty good hand here. Obviously, has the Ren, the Purge, can deal with some of the things on Dingo's side of the board, but no creativity to remake an Archon here. Prophecy available, draw some cards also, but now the Blood Moon is looming because that answer, that white source was not found. The plains was not found. Can hold up Purge to full up the mana and kill Blood Moon if it is cast, but that requires not developing the board also. So we'll see how Mason wants to play this one out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mason actually might just try to go for the cast the Archon play here, like cast the Archon sequence, but Grief might change things.
Oh, yeah, another good draw from Dingo. So the party's coming in. We got 4 damage coming across. Going to put Mason down to 10 if nothing else happens. Again, I think Mason has to hold up this white mana for Purge and float in response to a Blood Moon.
Yeah, maybe Ground 6 is dying here. Like maybe he attack Ground 6. You could see Dingo seeing Ground 6 as a problem here because it kills the orcs.
Yes, we were locking some arrows here, so we'll see where things are going. And it looks like you're correct. Attacking the Ground 6. So Grief, a nice consolation prize here, though. So doesn't want to play Blood Moon into the Purge, but gets to play the Grief now, and now set up for the Blood Moon on a future turn. And then now also has the Reflection active next turn as well.
I think it's very interesting how Dingo is playing with Blood Moon like very conservatively. Like I said, like usually this matchup Blood Moon is played like very fast, but he has surely played the matchup a lot and has elected to actually play the board first before having the like casting the Blood Moon. And I think it's because like this amount of Celestial Purchase like Mason plays, like I will assume if he knew Mason didn't play Purchase, he will play differently. But this is another thing of like Up and Necklace, right? He knows what's up, and I think he's playing this game very well.
Yeah, there are a lot of white removal effects in Mason's deck total. 4 main deck bindings and then 3 Celestial Purges on the board, which is of course a lot.
Okay, so
we see Grief come down, and we see a draw of Dwarven Mine. So an Archon in hand, obviously not looking too good there. A Purge, a Ren, a couple lands, but not really a ton here. And again, that Purge is kind of earmarked for the Blood Moon. So Mason's kind of walking the line here of, you kind of got to hold as long as possible, but is dying on board. We see a lot of power. We also see the Reflection plus Grief about to be on as well. And Reflection is just so good.
Yeah, I think he has to purge the Reflection. I just kind of hope to draw creativity next turn. That's probably his best bet, I think. Just play Mine, put a token, purge the Fable, and take some damage and pray for the best. Like if Finesse cards creativity and he plays like that, he's actually getting an Archon to play in a somewhat empty board, so that should be enough. Otherwise, he's just dead.
Yeah, you can't leave the Reflection, unfortunately. So with the 3rd Mine available, we do have a token, which can be a creativity top deck. And we see Mason's going to think this one out and see how it's going to roll. The Ren 6 can come down and pick off an Orc. So it can, kind of chip away at the board here a little bit, get rid of the Reflection, get rid of the Orc, leaving the Goblin Shaman and the Grief in play. And of course, that is a 2-turn clock. Mason is at 10. So needs to find something, needs to find it fast.
Yeah, I think maybe Mason is considering here going for something like Ground 6, getting a land and not pinging, so he can set up casting an Archon somewhat soon. But I think what you said is better, just killing the creatures is better. Just clean the board, kill the Fable, and just Yeah.
It looks like actually the Plains is in the graveyard right now. It looks like it was hit off of the Shadow Prophecy. So
Oh,
now now the Ren has value in play, which is going to force Dingo to have to kill that and then add 1 turn to the clock. But wow, we're actually going to see the Purge take out the Grief, not the Reflection.
that's interesting. Actually, that's maybe good, right? Because Grief actually attacks better than Reflection, and Reflection is not as good as attacker as Like obviously we know with the Fury in Dingo's hand, but Mason doesn't. So
Yeah, this is interesting. And again, so we're going to see a Fury just to clear out the 1/1, and I guess clear out the Ren. Also, killing the Ren's very important, like we said, because the Plains is in the graveyard. And then actually ditching the Blood Moon too. What do you think of that?
yeah, I mean he's gonna put Mason on 2 life, which, if I'm not wrong, this lethal next turn even through Archon? This is lethal through Archon, right? Because this way, so Dingo attacks for 8, right? Puts Mason on 2. Let's say Mason draws a creativity and puts a token, which I think he's already dead. But if he had the creativity now, he will go to 5, and he will be facing Fury and a Fable, right?
Yep.
And that's lethal.